welcome to the Kelly Roach Show, a place for no fluff, easy to implement, 20-minute or less business and leadership lessons to help you build a sustainable business that scales. Let's get started. On today's episode, we are going to unpack moving God to the centerpiece of your business. So probably not a week goes by that someone in the internet world reaches out to me and says, "You're so different. What's changed?" Right? They ask me about my energy. They ask me about the way that I post, about the things that I speak about. And they want to know where the change came from, or they want to acknowledge the change, or whatever the case. And, I thought maybe it was time to kind of talk about the change and what went into it. And, for me, a lot of you know that a couple years ago, I was sued by Entrepreneur Media, also known as Entrepreneur Magazine, for using the word entrepreneur. And how that came about was I filed for a trademark for my brand, which at the time was Unstoppable Entrepreneur. And when I did this, apparently they have web crawlers or, some kind of software where they are able to find out anytime anyone is pursuing trademark with anything using this word. And so a lawsuit ensued when I didn't agree to change the name and stop using the word, because my brand was built around, obviously, the word unstoppable, my whole brand, my identity, my company, my flagship program, thousands of pieces of content. The list goes on and on and on. When I didn't immediately agree to change the name of my organization, my assets, my programs, all of those things, they then filed even more charges and began to subpoena me, began to, subpoena my clients. I lost lots of great clients over it. I, definitely lost years of my life. I lost the identity of my brand. It caused so much heartache and turmoil and loss in my life. I can't even put it into words. I didn't sleep for, I want to say close to a year. It was certainly the hardest and worst year of my life. I struggled immensely with the weight and the stress of what was happening in my company that was growing dramatically at the time, and managing that with this at the same time. I was in just this horrible, debilitating state of fear and anxiety as they came after me. They went after my clients. And basically, in so many words, essentially in their own legal jargon, let my legal team know that they were either going to get me to change the name, or they were basically going to take me out of business. I don't have the exact words or phrases that were used, but the best way I can describe it is that what my lawyer said to me was that essentially it was called legal blackmail. It was basically, we will take you out of business because we have more money. We'll put a 6-person legal team on it, whatever the case. Or you're going to lose your brand, lose your identity, all of these things. So, this was a very transformative period in my life, because I basically lost the identity and lost a lot of what I had built, what I had spent, the better part of a decade building. And in going through this process, this period of time under this duress, I had to rethink everything, right? I certainly became a completely different person. And it was the first time in my life that I was not able to outwork the situation that I was in. Meaning, any other time that I had a hardship or a challenge in my life, I could work my way out of it. I could rely on hard work, and I could work my way out of it. And this was the first situation where I was thrashing and trying everything I knew how, and giving every ounce of my being to, try to work my way out of this. And there was no working my way out of this. It was what it was. It was bigger than me. And in going through this, I really rediscovered my faith in a completely new and different way. And I believe that this came into my life to lead me to putting God at the center of my life, at the center of my business, to really reframe my entire vision and mission and goal as a leader, as a business leader and entrepreneur. Prior to all of this happening, when I thought about my mission as an entrepreneur, it was very much tied to helping people grow successful businesses. And it was very much tied to that one key thing. How do I help people achieve freedom and make money and do work that they love, growing their business? And when I came out the other side of this, I realized a couple things. Number one, I realized that building my personal brand is the highest and best use of my time and my energy and my focus, because that is me, the human, creating a legacy body of work that I'm going to leave behind and that I'm going to use to impact others in a meaningful way. Number two, I realized that in order for me to fulfill the mission and the purpose that God instilled in me and my reason for being here, that I was not going to do that through one company. I was not going to do that through one mechanism of business coaching, for example, that just so happens to be a vehicle, the vehicle that I started with, but that there was going to be a lot of different ways that I was going to touch people and reach people and serve people in order to help draw them to their highest calling and potential and to have success in business and in life. And number three, I realized that really my highest calling above all else is to lead people back to God and to start openly expressing my faith and openly sharing my faith journey and openly having conversations like this one, for example, where I was forced to surrender. I didn't willingly choose to make faith the center of my life. I didn't willingly go to God. I went to God in a moment of despair where there was no other option. I literally would pray on my walk every single day to not have a heart attack and die, because the stress was so bad because of the combination of many things that were happening in my own company and then dealing with this on top of it. That led me to realizing my ultimate purpose, which is so much greater than, for example, building a coaching company, right? My greater purpose is to be a leader that helps people to prioritize faith and family, and to also do fulfilling work that matters in the world, and to do that work in a way that can both make them money and allow them to do good and allow them to prioritize their faith and their family above all else. And as a byproduct of doing fulfilling work that allows them to make money and do good, achieving financial freedom, right? Achieving the freedom of choice, achieving, all of those other elements that we want as a byproduct of doing our best work and living our highest calling. And so I made a very sharp turn starting, I don't know, like 9 months ago, maybe. I don't know when I started posting and sharing about my faith, but I really realized that faith has always been a part of my life. I've worn a miraculous metal ring for like 15, 20 years. I grew up in a very faith-filled home. Faith has always been a part of my life in varying degrees, but certainly it had become more of a side dish and not the centerpiece of who I was and where I was going and why. And this extremely devastating and traumatic situation where not only did I lose the identity of my brand, and think about the millions upon millions of dollars lost just in losing the brand that I had built. Like, you can't even quantify the depth of that for a person like me that puts out 40 plus pieces of content a week across platforms, where this was the brand I was building and pushing and, growing for so many years. I mean, we had to have someone full time basically working on changing backlinks for days and days and days in making this change. But in going through all of that, I really recognized a new level of courage. And that new level of courage for me was all about sharing my faith and putting my belief in God first, and being a person that openly glorifies God in all that I do and leads people back to Him in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's, that someone comes into the advance, or they come into Give Her Courage, or they come into, the business advisory, or they come into my personal brand, whatever that looks like. I want people that cross paths with me in some way, shape, or form to be somehow reignited, to elevate the position of faith in their life. And I'm not here to prescribe, and I'm not here to dictate, and I'm not here to preach, and I'm not here to tell anyone anything. All I'm here to do is be a living example of someone that has recognized the importance of glorifying God in all that I do, and moving Him from being a side to a centerpiece of my life. And I realize now, having gone through all of this, that had this massive disruption not happened, I would not have made this change. I would not have shifted the focus to my faith. And I see how that's even impacted my family, and it's impacted Madison already, and it's impacted the way that I am approaching creating and instilling faith in her. And I see the clients and the way that they've been impacted already by seeing me openly express my faith and my belief. And so all of this to say, there's just a massive reinvention coming for me. There's a massive up level, because for me, it's no longer about the one thing that one company can do. It's me as a business leader touching people and reaching people and encouraging them to rediscover their faith as a byproduct of their massive levels of success and everything that they'll go through in the pursuit of that. And I felt that I could no longer keep my faith kind of hidden and buried down beneath. I never used to talk about it. Even, for years and years, I never mentioned God. I never talked about my faith because I was fearful. And I'm a bit ashamed of that. I was fearful of talking about it because of the pressure of society and the way that people are, and just the hate and the venom that comes from people in doing that. But I realize now that was wrong. And I realize now that if I don't openly talk about faith as the catalyst for how I get through things and how I lead through things and how I overcome immense challenges in life, then I'm really not doing my job as a mentor, because I'm not disclosing the thing that is the most important element of overcoming the most challenging hardships that you're going to face in life, which is going to God. And I had that experience myself, where there was no amount of hard work. There was no amount of tenacity or drive or diligence that could get me out or through that situation. It was belief and faith and God and prayer and trust and hope. And that's the only way I got through it. But I think for a lot of people, we live in a society where faith has been removed from the conversation, and we live for all intents and purposes in a very soulless, godless society. And so it's not in the everyday vernacular in the entrepreneurial or business space to say, I prayed about it, or I'm praying to get help, or I'm praying to have my steps be ordered, or I'm trusting that God is going to lead me to what's next. And I think when I look at so many of the things that are happening in the business climate today, when I look at that, I see that so many people are giving up hope and feel hopeless, and maybe are giving up on their dream, or maybe letting go of a business that they once loved, or, you know, starting over or shutting things down. And it's because it feels hopeless. When you look at the rise of anxiety and depression and burnout amongst entrepreneurs, why is that? Because they get into situations that they simply can't work themselves out of, that require a higher power. But there aren't a lot of people out there acknowledging that tapping into that higher power is how you're going to get through those things. And so I think for a lot of people, they don't even realize that that's available to them. They don't even realize that that can be a part of their business growth strategy. The power of prayer, the power of faith, trusting in God, allowing Him to work in you and through you. And, you know, for me, I feel like although I was always a person of faith, it's very, very different for me now. I had a really hard time bringing together the fact that I felt that the gift that God gave me and the talent that I was supposed to use was in the world of business. And I couldn't quite figure out where God fit into that. How was I supposed to use the gifts that God gave me to inspire and teach and mentor and elevate people to grow really profitable and successful businesses? Where did God fit into that? How do these two things come together? And I think for the first time in my entire life, I'm now, just in this moment, just in this month, just in this week where I'm recording this episode for you, I'm finally understanding that. I'm finally seeing that path. And I can't wait to share what is coming next with you. I can't wait to reveal what my next chapter entails. And you're going to see this unfold in the personal brand. You'll see this unfold on my social media. You'll see this unfold on the podcast. And it's going to continue to be around leadership and building empires and growing teams and creating undeniable levels of unstoppable success. But the difference is we're really going to go deep into the role that faith can play in that. No matter what your faith is, no matter what your religion is, no matter what your spirituality is, it's all the same thing. It's us wanting to connect with our Creator. It's us wanting to feel a sense of connection and know that there's something bigger than us, that there's something guiding us and supporting us that can help us through. And so a really devastating experience that set me back very substantially in a lot of ways, mentally, spiritually, financially, in every way, physically. I remember waking up in the morning and just seeing these huge dark lines under my eyes because I had not slept, and I had not slept for months. And it was a really, really difficult period. But I look back now and I realize that I went from this mission to build this one company to 100 million, to realizing that that was not my dream, to realizing that that was not my destiny, realizing that that wasn't actually what I was meant to do and where I was meant to go, and building out the portfolio that I'm growing and leading today, and breaking out the companies and the different ways that we can serve and make a difference and help businesses in all different ways at all different levels. And it really helped me also to finally, for the first time in my life, see where that marriage of money and making a difference can really crystallize at the next level. So a couple of things I want to share with you as a part of my audience. One is I wanted you to understand why there's been such a shift and that there's going to be more to come. And I hope you'll be along for that ride. I hope you'll be open to going on that journey with me. And two, that if you've been struggling with something that you can't work your way out of, or that feels hopeless, or feels like you've given everything you can and you can't seem to get to where you need to be or want to be, that maybe it's time to lift up and to look up and to ask for help in a new and different way that supersedes what you can do or what your mentor, your coach can do, or the people that love you and guide you through the process of growing each day can do to be there for you and to help you. And so I hope that this journey will inspire other people to rediscover their faith the same way that I did, and to really expand the conversation in the business space around making money and doing good and leading with faith, and that we can rise up a new breed of leaders that are really honoring and glorifying God in everything that we do, and that we're trusting in Him and turning to Him in time of need, and that we never feel hopeless or alone because we have the ultimate CEO that is guiding us along the way. So I hope that answers the question that I keep getting in my inbox about the energy change and the shift and all of that. I hope that gives some clarity. And I want you all to get excited because for me, I feel like I am just getting started. I feel like this is the beginning of me stepping into being a communicator and a leader in a completely new and different way that is going to serve you at an even higher level. And we're still going to keep growing. We're still going to keep building our empires. We're still going to be making millions of dollars, but we're really going to be looking at it through a new context and a new light. So welcome to the new season, and I'll see you on the other side.